Welcome everyone to another episode of Vinny Makes the Hall of Fame Case for ... And I'm Kirk Buckner. I run NotInHallOfFame.com, and I can't do this without a Vinny, hence why the show is called Vinny Makes the Hall of Fame Case for. And on our last episode, we looked at one undrafted player, and now we're going to look at a tackling machine, a defensive icon in the city of Atlanta, but someone who doesn't get a whole lot of love outside of Atlanta. Actually, I don't even know if he gets that much love inside of Atlanta. But this is another request. Vinny Lospinuso, how you doing?
I'm doing good, and I'm very, very happy and excited to talk about another undrafted guy. This
this was another request, so why don't you shout out who requested it?
Shouting out to my man Scott Karasik, blogging dirty.
Mm-hmm.
I am giving a case of his favorite NFL player of all time, also the namesake of his dog Tuggle. So Tuggle, if you're there right, watching, if you're watching at with your owner, this is for you. Bark.
Speak. There you go. Jessie Tuggle, somebody who when I'm doing all my research on him, somebody who I've got as one of the top 10 Falcons of all time. Maybe not top 5, but top 10. But I mean, I think anyone at the top 10 in any kind of franchise, obviously you've done something right. Doesn't get a whole lot of love, but as you know better than most, Falcons generally don't.
You can thank Furman Fisher for that, and you could also thank Orlando Ledbetter at the moment. He has spent more time calling people that prefer the throwback uniforms for the Falcons losers, as opposed to actually pushing for Falcons to make the Hall of Fame, which is pretty sad considering he's an actual voter.
He said that?
I'm not even joking. I actually said to him on Twitter, I hope you have the same amount of passion pushing Falcons for the Hall. And the guy blocked me. It's so hilarious, but also kind of sad too. And Scott even said that he has like issues even like writing. And people in Atlanta deserve better. Just for all these family members, like Matt Coons has said it, Tommy Novus III has said it, many of them have said it. And I'm pretty sure Jessie would say it too.
Sorry, I'm still sort of stuck on some of those older things that is a problem with it. Okay, never mind.
It's so stupid.
I just sidetracked my own brain here, so I'm just gonna put myself right back here on the track, and we're gonna talk about somebody who holds a lot of records. Was in terms of tackling, anyway. I've read somewhere, and tell people why they're wrong or maybe why they're right. I was doing a bit of research here, and when I kept coming through Tuggle, I kept thinking of London Fletcher a lot. Am I wrong in that?
No, you're not wrong. He's very similar in terms of an underrated, underappreciated tackling machine.
Oh yeah,
I do not put
Fletcher.
I do not
get Hall of Fame traction. Tuggle never did.
No, and I think a big reason why is because Fletcher also has the Iron Man streak as well, and he also has the Super Bowl he had earlier in his career with the Rams. And then, of course, he would get more attention with the Redskins, and that's where he got his All Pros and his non-alternative Pro Bowls. Tuggle, unfortunately, never had that same love, but I think he was as good as Fletcher. And I'm someone who's very big on London Fletcher. I really, really want to see London Fletcher make the Hall of Fame as well. And similar to London Fletcher, you're talking about an undrafted player. He grew up in Georgia his entire life. He went to Valdosta State, where he was so dominant there that he actually made the College Football Hall of Fame, despite that being a Division II school.
Yeah, that's not easy.
No, that's not easy at all. Like, you need to be a baller if you want to really make that as a part of the D2 school. But then he was went for the Falcons through a chance encounter. And what happened was with the Falcons, there was a couple of injuries at linebacker. They said, you know what? We'll give you a starting job. Really? I'm going to make the roster. Yep, and you're going to start. And like, oh man, like this was a dream come true. This is the team that he watched. He started 4 games in 1987, but then he would really start making havoc in the 1988 campaign, where he had 103 tackles. Now, 103 tackles for your first season as a primary starter, not bad. And then you get to year 3, and you really start seeing the fruits of his labor. In 1989, he was second in the NFL in tackles with a whopping 103 combined tackles.
103 again?
No, 183. I said
183.
183.
Sorry. Okay. I heard 103. Sorry. Continue.
No, it's okay. 183, which, in case you're curious, is the 14th most in NFL history since they started tracking the tackles in the mid 80s. And then 1999 would come along. And he realized, I don't want to be second in the league in tackles. Why don't I end up first in the league in tackles? And so he did it. 201 tackles. 1991, first in the league again in tackles. 207 tackles. 1992, they said, okay, we get it. You want to lead in tackles so many times. We'll finally give you your Pro Bowl, despite leading the league in tackles for 3 straight years. Very close to 4 straight years, despite missing by 1. And then 1985, again, so dumb. He finished 3rd in the league in tackles. Again, that's still the 9th most all time. So in that stretch alone, from 1983 to 1985, sorry, I read it on. From 1989 to 1993, he had 183 or more tackles. You're talking about one of the greatest stretches in terms of pure tackling in NFL history right there.
Has he ever gained any kind of traction in I know he hasn't got any Hall of Fame traction that we're aware of. Is he in any other Hall of Fame other than the college one that you mentioned?
Well, he's in the Falcons Ring of Honor. He's in the Georgia Sports Hall of Fame.
Okay, so he's in the Sports. Okay.
He's in those, and he would also lead the league in tackles again in 1985, where he had 152, where he got his 3rd Pro Bowl, and then in 97 and 98, even though he wasn't as high in terms of tackling, the team was winning a bit more, and he got 2 more Pro Bowls and a 2nd team All Pro nod in 1998, where they went to the Super Bowl. But then injuries later on ended his career, and he retired after the 2000 season. He is someone who I believe is one of the most underrated players and underappreciated players, not just in Falcons history, but just NFL history as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're looking at someone who his entire career, the 1990s decade, had more tackles than anyone else. And he's finished 4th all time. Right now, he's 4th all time in tackles.
Oh yeah, I was just going to ask where he ranks on that. I knew it was pretty high. I didn't realize it was that high.
I think I'm looking at the career tackles right now. Now, granted, it doesn't list solo tackles as much because they didn't really count those until later.
Mm-hmm.
You look at the names you look at the top 5 in tackles. Zach Thomas, who just made the Hall of Fame, 5th all time. Like I mentioned, Tuggle. Then you have Junior Seau at 3, Lennon Fletcher at 2, Ray Lewis at 1. And below them is Derek Brooks. Yeah, pretty legendary name. Yeah. Below Zach Thomas, you have Derek Brooks, who's in. Clay Matthews, who has a big push. Hardy Nickerson, that's got some attention. Bobby Wagner, who's going to make the Hall. And Donnie Edwards, who I don't see if he's ever going to, even though he might deserve some attention. But Jessie Tuggle still, after all these years, retired in 2000. When the time he retired, he finished number 1 in terms of tackles all time. And that was held until Seau and then Lewis and Fletcher broke that. So think about that for a second. Not bad.
No, not bad at all. How was he against the pass?
He was good. He was a bit better against the run, but he was the overall tackling machine.
That's how I remember him, is mostly for just like just being the interior stopper.
Yeah, he's seen as more the interior guy, and so he didn't get the sacks that the outside
Yeah,
linebackers or
that
just
was
the edge.
usual, which is
That,
fine.
that was a big part of it. Not only that, the Falcons of the '90s, they had some success, not as much as their future rival in the Buccaneers or even their rival at the time. Like the Niners were still going with their dynasty. The Rams had some good years, some bad years, and then they were good again at the end when they were in St. Louis. And then even the Saints, they were dominant. They had the dome
Yeah,
patrol.
yeah. That's for people wondering if you're a little younger. Atlanta was in this weird when they were in the West, which
Yeah.
was so crazy.
And not only that, the
Yeah.
Panthers were also in the West when they first joined. So you had three teams in the Southeast that were in the NFC West, which
Yeah.
makes so much sense.
Oh, the whole thing was a cloth. Yeah, it made no sense.
And it only made worse when the Rams went to St. Louis. So the only team that was actually West was the Niners.
Yeah, the only thing now that makes no sense, and they only kept it because of division rivalry, was the Cowboys.
Yeah, that's
Just
like the only
which
one.
which just shows like how influential the Cowboys are that they're able to do that.
Yeah,
That they can,
Jarrett.
yeah, that they could buck geography.
Yeah, like the Falcons, they had three playoff appearances during Tuggle's tenure.
Mhm.
1981, where they beat the Saints, of course, and
Yeah.
then they lost the Redskins, which that was the same Redskins team that won the Super Bowl. And '95, they lost the Packers. And then
Mhm.
1998, of course, Super Bowl run. That Falcons team in 1998, that's the only Super Bowl team for a long time until Granny Gradishar, of course. Thank you, Ron Katz, in which no one on offense or defense is in the Hall of Fame from that team. The only player on that Falcons team was Morton Anderson. There's no one on offense or defense from that team that's in the Hall of Fame at the moment.
I didn't realize that, but yeah, I don't know why I didn't know that before. I gotta rewatch that game. Okay, so this was really really good. Is there any more points on Tuggle that you want to make?
Yeah, Atlanta needs to do better. Like in general, Nobis, Coons, Tuggle is someone who is honored in Georgia, absolutely. But
Are you gonna do that
you
when you
get
get yourself blocked?
the hey, listen, that's his fault, not mine.
I
That
know.
that that's his fault. Like I understand, you can talk about eye test this or that, but I think when you have this many tackles, when you especially have a high number, and of course, you have some people that say, "Oh, they just reported on the number of tackles wrong." No, 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 no. If they were really that wrong, how come they haven't been corrected in all the years since then? There are people that have gone back and watched film and watched every single point of every single game, and they still haven't yet adjusted the number of tackles that he had. And I understand I'm a big someone who likes approximate value, but at the same time, I know that when you have that many tackles in general, I'm not going to ignore it. I'm going to give it a lot of attention, and I think he should be in the Hall of Fame. He deserves a lot more awards than he was given in the '90s. The team needs to do better at promoting these guys, and I think you need someone else in that room that will do a better job at promoting causes like this.
And you're not the first person to tell me that in terms of OLED.
Yeah, yeah, just in general. Still.
There you go. All right. Well, with that, wherever you are, wherever you may be, make today count because it never comes again. Take care, everyone.